Hi, good morning. It's 11 a.m. Normally I'm one here at 12. I'm coming in a little bit earlier today. I have a little bit of a crazy afternoon. So hope you can join me live at 11 rather than 12. So hope you're on with me. And if not, again, you can always watch these videos on our Athens Nutrition's Facebook page as well as our YouTube channel. All right, we are making ground chicken with dates and with some interesting spices that mixture goes into a lettuce cup. And it's like the perfect summer, easy, light, dinner, lunch, whatever you want to do with it. So we'll talk about it. We're going to go ahead and get started. I do have my daughter's Bernie's mountain dog with me today, so she might be showing up. We'll see if she does. I'll introduce her. She's about an 85-pound, I guess 11-month-old puppy right now, so you might actually see her. So if you hear some barking in the background, that's it, because I also have my 5-year-old golden retriever, Sesame, so she's around as well. Notice the food names, Clementine and Sesame. So we tend to name our dogs around different foods. All right, I'm Judy Matesky. I'm a registered dietitian with Athens Nutrition, as well as a culinary nutritionist, and it's great to be back. I'm usually here every Thursday, 12 o'clock. Today's an exception. I'm one earlier at 11. So we're gonna go get started. I'm gonna turn my heat on because we do need to get this chicken browned. So I wanna get that going before we do anything else. Let me just heat that up a little bit. Fairly medium-high heat because you do want to brown this chicken. Now, full disclosure, I have ground turkey. The original recipe calls for ground chicken. I do like it with ground chicken, except that I almost always buy my ground poultry from Costco and they only have ground turkey. So I'm making this today with ground turkey. The recipe is originally created with ground chicken. It doesn't really matter. Either one is great. The other thing that you could do, two things. One would be is if you want to make this a little more vegetarian, but not maybe 100%, you could use half the amount of the ground chicken or the ground turkey with some crumbled tofu, like extra firm tofu. That would work beautifully. You could actually make this whole thing with extra firm tofu that you would just crumble and brown in the pan like we're doing the ground turkey and the chicken. Equally as good. So you have like four options: ground turkey, ground chicken. You could do half ground meat with tofu or 100% tofu. So it's really your option. You could do this with lean ground beef too. I just tend not to really cook with that. So it's really your call. All right, so we're gonna get this warm because we're gonna put about 3 tablespoons, and because ground turkey and ground chicken tend to be lean. Now, it depends on what you buy. If you're buying ground turkey breast, ground chicken breast, they're very lean and they almost need some extra oil just to give it some flavor and also to keep it from getting too dry. If it's more like just a regular ground turkey, then it's gonna have some more fat added to it. So you don't have to add any real extra fat. So it's your call. You know, I feel like sometimes the ground turkey breast and the ground chicken, although better from a cardiovascular and heart healthy standpoint, sometimes can be a little tougher to cook with because they can go a little bit dry and they have a little less flavor. The one I'm using is a relatively lean ground turkey from Costco. It tends to have a little more moisture to it, so sometimes I have a hard time browning it, so we'll just see how it goes. But we're going to just heat this up. I have the oil in the pan, so anywhere between maybe 2 to 3 tablespoons of oil, depending on how lean your turkey is. So this is just going to go in, and I'm just going to press it down a little bit, and I'm going to wash my hands. But we're going to let it sit in here, and we just kind of want it to go for about 5 minutes, just to really get it to really sear and brown on the one side. All right, so let me just give a little wash here. And then we'll crumble it and add the other ingredients. So it's a pretty easy, pretty straightforward recipe. This is what I love. This is a really great weeknight when you don't have a whole lot of time meal. Few ingredients and pretty simple and pretty easy. So I'm gonna keep this on sort of medium-high heat here and let that go. The next thing we're going to do is we're using some dates, and that's kind of a little bit unusual maybe. Some of you may not cook with dates, but dates, just have this nice sweetness. So you have savory, spicy, sweet, it's all those flavor combinations really what helps to bring out the flavor. Oh, here comes Clementine. She's walking by. There she goes. She's just making a little loop around my island. So anyway, I'm using Medjool dates. They are, to me, my favorite. There's a couple different kinds of dates you can buy, but the Medjools are big, they're plump, they're I'm not going to say juicy, but they're really soft and sweet, and I absolutely love them. They're the only kind I use. Again, this is a big one from Costco. I buy them. Sometimes I put them in my freezer if I don't think I'm going to use them pretty quickly because I just don't want them to dry out. So what I did was you take about a half of a cup of dates, take the pits out, and I did, and then you're just soaking them with about it's a half a cup of water, and you do want to measure it because we're using the dates and the date liquid in this recipe. So anyway, so we have, I already cut up the dates, but I saved one because I just wanted to show you, because I find chopping dates with a knife is frustrating because they stick to the knife. I mean, it just drives me nuts. So kitchen shears can be fabulous for a lot of things, but if you need to just chop dates, it takes like 2 seconds, and they don't really stick to the kitchen shears. So that's my little trick of the day. So these have been sitting just for a few minutes. They don't have to sit very long. So I'm just going to put those aside. And the neat thing about dates, I was talking about this with a client recently who was not able to eat dried fruit. And I was like, oh, well, how about dates? And then I'm like, oh, those are dry. And then I was like, wait, no, dates are not dried fruit. So on the date tree or the date palm, this is the fruit of the tree. It grows like this. These are not dried. These are really the fresh fruits. So for any of you who, are thinking that maybe you can't eat dried fruit, this could be a really good option, because I love dates as a little snack, a little sweet snack maybe in the afternoon. They're great if you stuff them with a little bit of like some walnuts or almonds as a little snack, a couple of them, or even with some dark chocolate as a nice little sweet treat. So yeah, I have a lot of clients who struggle a little bit with like their sweet tooth, and they have found that using dates with dark chocolate has really been helpful. And it's just, again, high fiber. They're good, great sources of minerals, so that's super helpful. All right, so this is browning up. I don't know if you can see that, but it's definitely browning. So I'm going to just pull it off to the side just for a minute because I want to go into the ingredients. Okay, so what we're using here, I used a whole bunch of dates. I'm going to turn this heat down just a little bit so when I pull it back over. I'm sorry, I used a whole bunch of scallions. So I think the recipe calls for 5. I don't know. I think scallions typically come in a bunch of 6. So I just used 6. I mean, it seems silly to use 5. So, and I love scallions and things. So anyway, I used a whole bunch. What I did was I just chopped them ahead of time just to save a little time. And so I have the green, and then I have the white, and the lighter green. Because we're going to use them a little separately. So we're going to set the darker green off to the side because we'll use those at the end. All right, so we have like a full bunch of scallions, and then we have a couple of cloves of garlic, and a nice big piece of ginger. Now, my ginger, you're probably saying, I've never seen red ginger, and the reason for that is you probably haven't, because ginger is not red, it's white, but I always preserve my ginger in wine, and I didn't have white wine at the time when I was cutting up this ginger. I only had red wine, and I thought, oh, what the heck, I'm just going to throw it in with the red wine. I knew it was going to turn red, but I don't really care. It doesn't matter in this recipe because we're using a red chili paste anyway, so if you want your dish to be white, obviously you wouldn't want to do that, but for this, it's going to work out just fine. All right, so we're going to bring this back over because we're going to just start adding all of the ingredients now. Since we've got the chicken browned on the one side, or the turkey, I'm going to actually turn it up a little bit again. All right, so I'm going to now just break it up in your pan so that you have more, turkey or chicken crumbles pretty much. So just break it up. And then we're going to continue to let it kind of cook a little bit. But as it's doing that, we're also going to start adding some of these ingredients. So I'm going to get in my, I'm going to turn it up to medium high. I think it's going to do better with that. I'm going to now add all of my whites of the scallions. They're going to go in. And then we're going to add our minced garlic and our minced ginger, and I am going to mince it instead of chop it because I do think it works a little bit better minced. So I just have a microplane. I'm just going to sit it over here, and I'm just going to go ahead and run it over because sometimes I feel like, depending on what you're doing, sometimes minced versus chopped, you can get it a whole lot finer if you use it, if you're mincing it on a microplane. particularly if you're using garlic and you need it to be, and you don't really want to get big raw chunks. Like this is obviously going to be cooked, but when I'm using garlic in like a vinaigrette, I always mince it. I just think it's so much better that way. And if you don't get that really harsh, fresh kind of garlic flavor that can happen, but when it's minced, it really just kind of disappears. Okay. You know, I'm going to do this over here. I thought I could do it over the pan, but it's a little bit hot. So I'm going to do the same thing with my garlic. And I just took the, I just kind of smashed them a tiny bit just to be able to get the skins off. And I have 3 smaller cloves. I think the recipe calls for 2 large cloves. So whatever you want here is fine. And I can see, like, again, like this ground turkey from Costco, it is a little on the wet side. So it's a little bit harder to brown. So if you're using a different brand of ground turkey, I think you'll be able to get it a little bit browner than I'm probably going to be able to do. All right, so let me just get this in here. And that's good. I didn't realize, because I couldn't get the whole, let me just, oh, here it is, sorry, it's on my cutting board. All right, there's the ginger and the garlic. I have a little bit of ginger left, so just because I want to use a little bit more, I think I'm gonna just quickly chop it. Just a little more. That was a really big piece of ginger. It calls for like a 1 inch, and I think that's probably was more like 1.5 inches or bigger, so I'm not gonna use the whole thing. So let me just get a little bit more. And I might pull these like stray little pieces of garlic in as well. Why waste them? They're a little hard when you get down to the end of the garlic and you're using your microplane, your mincer. It's kind of hard because you kind of want to protect your fingers. You get a little too close, so these pieces get a little too small, which I've done many, many times. Actually, this is unusual for me to not have a Band-Aid on because I'm almost always cutting my fingers one way or the other, even though I try to be super careful. Just happens when you're cooking a lot. Okay. All right, so we have our scallions in here that are going to brown up here a little bit, and then we're going to continue to break. So the point here is that we really want this ground turkey and the ground chicken or your tofu, depending on what you're using. You want it into like, not big chunks. You want it to kind of break up so it's more like a ground texture. All right, so let me keep that going. Let me get it a little bit more. Let me break it up just a little bit more. Get my heat up a little bit higher. All right. So we have the ground turkey in here. We have a little olive oil. We have our ginger. We have our garlic. We have the whites or the light green part of the scallions. I used a whole bunch of scallions, which was about 6 of them. All right. Now let's finish it up. So we're going to use about maybe 1/2 teaspoon of salt. That's kind of up to you. Obviously, salt to your taste. Probably about the same amount of fresh ground pepper. All right, and now we're going to add sort of like the secret ingredient, or the ingredient that really brings this to life. And this is red curry paste. This is Thai Kitchen red curry paste. You can find it in any supermarket. It's always in my refrigerator because it's a go-to for a lot of things. Sometimes if I'm making a sauce and I'm like, needs like a little something, again, like a tablespoon of this, and you really just added tremendous flavor. The ingredient list is kind of cool. It's just red chili pepper, garlic, lemongrass, salt, shallot, coriander root, and kaffir lime peel. That's great. And what an intense amount of flavor. So keep this in your fridge. Use it, though. Don't just let it just sit in your refrigerator. I have a salmon recipe that I absolutely love that is on my blog at judymatesky.com. It's only 3 ingredients. It's basically Thai chili paste with some brown sugar and some olive oil. And you put it on top of your salmon, and then you pop it in the microwave, and it gets this little crust on it. Oh, it's so good. And it's so simple and so fast and so easy. So I'm putting in about 2.5 tablespoons of this red Thai chili paste. It's not, I don't know, it says it's hot. I don't find it to be real hot, and I'm pretty sensitive to like hot chili. Now, you can add some extra red chili flakes. I'm only going to add a few. I don't particularly want this real spicy, but I do want a little bit of a spice to it. And I don't find that Thai chili paste to be real spicy. If you don't have Thai chili paste, You could use curry powder and the red pepper flakes. That would kind of mimic, I think, a little bit of the flavor. I also always have like the chili oil crunch in my refrigerator as a go-to to help kind of, again, bring some flavor to some dishes. You could use that. I often have harissa paste in my refrigerator too. I don't usually buy the hot harissa. I usually go with the more mild, but that would be great. So you could, if you don't have this particular red curry, that's fine. Although I would really suggest you look for it when you're out at the market, because it's, you know, it's in the in the aisle that would, you know, carry a lot of the different Asian spices and ingredients. So just it's just great to have around, and keep it in your refrigerator. It lasts a really long time. So you'll find lots of ways to use it, because it really just you can add it to almost anything. I add it to eggs. It's great with scrambled eggs as well. Or if I'm just going to do a scrambled tofu real quick, I might just do a little bit of like oil scrambled like tofu with a little bit of that red Thai chili paste, and that is a really quick little easy little scramble. Okay, so we got it. Now the last thing that we're going to add is we're going to add all of the dates. So it's a half a cup of chopped dates with a half a cup of water that they soaked in. So that's going to go in. And that, again, it might be a little unusual that you're not used to maybe cooking with dates or something sweet with savory, but it's a really nice combination. So that's going to bring a little needed moisture to this dish, because it was starting to get a little bit dry as the turkey was cooking out. So we're going to get this in here. We're going to heat it up for, you know, a minute or two, just kind of let it go. And then what you'll do with this is you can do a lot of different things with this. That's what I love about it. You can, all right, so that looks pretty good. Let me just put this off to the side. I've got some different tongs. Because sometimes you're using tongs, you know, and you're using your tongs with the raw ground meat. It's better to kind of get rid of those when you're finishing up and so that you don't have any, unless you can take time to wash the tongs off. I usually just grab another pair. Once things are cooking through, I don't really want any of that raw chicken or turkey to get into the dish. Okay, this is absolutely fantastic. All right, so now what are you going to put it on? Well, you have options. Obviously, the recipe is made to put it with lettuce cups, which is what we can do. And I have this absolutely gorgeous lettuce that's in my husband's garden right now. He's been growing some beautiful lettuce for a while now. It's been really, really nice. So I have some red tip lettuce. I just have some romaine lettuce. Then he had a couple of other unusual lettuce leaves that I picked, and of course I'm going to forget the name of that one. But anyway, I just think I'm going to turn this off and get it ready. I think this is fun to serve as a really light dinner, summer dinner, where you know, using lettuce maybe instead of bread, although you could. So this would be absolutely delicious in be delicious in pita bread, you know, like whole wheat pita bread, as a little thing, and put a whole bunch of lettuce in there, maybe some grated carrots. That would be delicious. You could also do this with, what I do is when I make something like this, I will reheat the leftovers, and then when I have a big leafy salad, I just put this on top of it, warm, on top of my salad. It's delicious. It'd be great on sauteed spinach. You know, you can use it a lot of different ways, but I like the idea sometimes of bringing extra vegetables to the plate. So if you can do with lettuce, we're gonna add a couple things to this. So we are gonna use the greens to the top just to top it off, and then we can use extra on the plate. And we have a lot of mint growing in the garden. This is like probably one of the easiest herbs in the world to grow, because it just kind of grows like a weed. And I'm just going to tear the mint rather than chop it. Just tear it up. And it's, you know, I don't know. It says the recipe calls for half a cup of mint, but you can just do whatever you want with the mint. More or less, leave it out if you don't want to. You could use another herb, but I think the mint goes really well with the dates. The dates in this chicken with the turkey and the red curry. The mint is a perfect herb. So, all right, so let me move this out of the way. So we have our lettuce cups, and then we're going to just take your little ground turkey and just pop it right in the lettuce cups, and then you wrap them up. You do that, and then I might even add, well, no, I got a lot of mint in here. I mean, if you want to, you could add a few more. And I want to, a few more, you know, chopped green scallions, and you could add a little bit more mint if you want to. But anyway, so here they are. Aren't they super cute? Super fast. You saw how fast that was. Wrap them up. You could eat them if the lettuce is strong enough. This was a little bit soft, but if you could double up your lettuce leaves to make it so that you can actually hold them to eat them. If you're using a sturdier lettuce, then you have no problem with that. But either way, you could just eat these with a fork and a knife, cutting them and eating them. They're so delicious. I love it this way, and I love it even more just on top of my salads. So this is fantastic. If you want to, like any of the dishes most of the dishes that I cook, you could double this recipe and then freeze it, and then you can pull it out and have it later. If you've got kids in the family, I think they'll love it because they can fill their own little lettuce cups. You could put it in endive too. I think that would be fantastic. Get creative, whatever you think. So I wanted to bring another kind of poultry, chicken, turkey dish to you because again, I've been getting some requests to have a few more ideas to do, things to do with chicken or turkey. So here's another one. Last week we did the chicken tenders. I hope you tried them. They're really good. I made a whole bunch of them, and we were eating them kind of off and on for a couple of days in a lot of different ways, but mostly I was putting them on my salads as like a really good, tasty protein source. So again, give it a try. If there's any recipes that you would like me to bring to you, please let me know because I'm always looking for new ideas. And I am back again next week at 12 o'clock. So this was the only little blip in the schedule where we went on a little bit earlier. All right, questions, just always email or always just, put a comment up and let me know. I'm not going to be able to introduce Clementine because she's sound asleep over here, but which is good, which is what I want her to be doing. But maybe next time. All right, stay well, and remember that cooking is a really powerful health behavior. And cook the way you want to feel. Like if you're looking to, improve your health, feel better, then you should want to be cooking to support that. All right, stay well. See you next week.